What's going on, believers? Guys, we're going to talk about Starlink today because, God, when I don't cover Starlink, I actually miss this token. This is not financial advice, but I'm always right.
I can't wait till Friday. Everybody's getting sideways.
All right, guys, Starlink is trading at 24.26. You can see right here that accumulation just kind of continues, and it's a sideways action. If you remember, I told you guys right here that we were going to get this big lift, and we ended up getting the lift. It was not the lift that I predicted, but it ended up causing this little cascade right here. And this is still, when you back out here and you start to look, this is still an accumulation at a very high level for this token. Now, what is it that's going on right here? Well, to be fair, I have, 6 crypto wallets, and one of my crypto wallets is just long-term hodls. So I don't pay attention to Starlink's price until such time as I see something happening. And right now, nothing's really happening. Here's what's going on. Starlink, like every other token that is involved in the metaverse, requires the motivation of popular sentiment. And I'm going to pull up CoinGecko right now. And if you look right here, then you're going to see that the sentiment in general for these tokens has not been the greatest. Starlink is actually number 6 on the increases on metaverse tokens in the last 24 hours. Now, you see here, Decentral Games Ice had a nice big lift. You're going to see some of them that have like a nice little lift to them, but generally speaking, Starlink is also number 7 right now in the 1-hour chart. So you're seeing that sentiment, but the problem is there's not a big catalyst, not for Starlink. Starlink's catalyst will be a game. The Warp Nexus game becomes the Starlink metaverse, and everything starts to come out, and you're going to see a huge, and I mean enormous, price spike, because when you're sitting around the $300 million market cap level and you have the potential to get to a $30 billion market cap level, that's 100x from where you are, and that is a real number for this game. This is a space game. It's a great game. It's coming. It's just not here yet. So the only other piece that causes these big spikes in prices, that's going to be, if you remember, when we got our first big spike, that was because Facebook changed its name to Meta, and then everybody wondered what the metaverse was. And in fairness, we still don't know exactly what's going on with Facebook, but at some point, maybe your Facebook login will be used on all of these games in some way as a meta login or something. I'm not sure how they're trying to hedge themselves and get involved in everybody's pocket, but it's Facebook. You know that they are. But the point is, Starlink is not yet at that spot where it's going to, on its own, make a gigantic move until we get another beta. When another beta starts to pop out and we start to see a whole lot going on, then guess what? That price is going to spike, but it's not going to be maintained, just like it never is when that happens, until that game comes out. When that game comes out, remember, when we're talking market caps right here, we're talking about, and guys, you can say what you want about Axie Infinity, but if it's anything other than it's a stupid, silly looking game, then you're probably not thinking about it graphically. The sandbox, it is the same thing. There's nothing. And Decentraland, I'm in each one of these in some way, and none of them look like Starlink. So when you're looking at these games, I assure you, there's nothing to be impressed graphically with till you get to Warp Nexus and the Starlink universe. Moving on. All right, guys, I hope the same Starlink watchers watching me today are the same Starlink watchers who were watching me in the beginning and who are paying attention to the price on your token, because this is a long-term hodl, and this is one that's going to pay off in an enormous sort of way. This is one of those tokens that's going to have a gigantic game behind it. And say what you will about it right now. Market cap is $250 million. If it gets to $5 billion, that's a 20x, and that's not nothing on your money. If you've got the right amount put in there, then you are going to see a tremendous sort of lift off of that. Just to get to 5 billion, Axie Infinity is where 5 billion is. But I'm thinking that this market has accumulated for about a year now. And it's going to take there's going to be a bump that's going to happen, and this market is going to start to soar at some point very, very soon. I believe it's going to start in February. We'll start to see it play out through March, April, May, and then we're probably going to see a little dead time. So we've got a little bit more time, and we're going to see that big growth. And Starlink's going to be part of it, and the metaverse is going to be part of it. But after everything, that is when we're going to go into that dead period. And when that dead period happens, video games are going to matter. And all of the tokens that have video games, real video games, not just your ham and egger maze runner games that everybody seems to be cloning right now, or your Angry Birds flying sideways, scrolling cheap games. I'm talking about real games. Real games are going to matter. Starlink is a real game. This was not financial advice. I was always right. And Starlink is awesome.
I'm looking for the good life, good life. Sitting on top of the world, I wanna be shining